Hi everyone! Here is a beautiful set from Stampin' Up called Nature's Harvest. So, to start off, I'm going to show you how I colored the image just by using Stampin' Up watercolored pencils. Let's get started. So we need our pencils, picking tool, small round brush, clean water, our stamp set of course, watercolor paper, 100% cotton preferred, and 300 GSM, Sahara Sand ink pad, and of course your acrylic block. So notice I am using the first impression. So before I show you how I color my images with watercolored pencils, let me show you some tricks that I personally do with watercolored pencils. I'm using here the balmy blue. First technique is simply shading or making solid lines. There's no water involved. So outlines, lines, just simple shading. The second one is the wash technique, where you glide or shade the paper using light strokes, and then grab a wet brush and do a light wash to spread the color. So by applying water, you're actually activating the pigments of the lead. And I usually use this for backgrounds or just light coloring of some images. And the third one, this is quite tricky, but I love doing this technique. First, you dip your brush in water and glide it onto the tip or lead of your pencil. Not sure if you could see it. And this really activates the lead and gives a very, very bold or strong color, similar to a pastel. Do you see that? And that's the effect of applying water directly on the lead or the tip of the pencil. Just take note with tip number 3, since the brush or the wet brush has activated the lead or the tip of the pencil, either the brush or the pencil will now provide a very, very strong color or pigment onto the paper. So to recap, the first technique is the no water technique, where we simply just shade or make direct lines or outlines. The second one is the washing technique, where we shade lightly and then wet our brush and glide it onto the shaded area to make a light wash. And the third technique is the application of water to fully activate the pigments of the lead or the pencil, and imparting that pigment or strong pigment to the brush as well. So let us see how we were able to use all 3 techniques for this card. First technique was used for the strokes for the grass, using just lines The second technique, or the washing technique, was applied to the background of the card. And you see how light that is. And then the third technique was applied to the center buds of the flowers, also the dots that was made, and some parts of the stem and the leaves. Now let's start coloring. It will be a fast-paced coloring. I think you get the gist of what techniques were used. So for the colors of the pencils, it will be written down in the description. As I said, these are Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils. They're good quality and they really make vibrant colors. First, I am coloring all the flowers with yellow. Notice how I've left some parts white or not colored at all. Now I am adding pumpkin pie to the petals. Note that since the yellow area is still a bit wet, the yellow or the pumpkin pie would come out vibrant because it gets activated by the wet surface. If you notice, I am just making random lines. I'm not coloring the entire flower. So it's just random splodges or spots on certain areas. For the center buds, notice how I've left the right part or areas of the center buds lighter compared to the left. This is probably the least used color in the box of the watercolor pencils, but I use the Whisper White a lot in my watercoloring. It just provides a subtle appearance on the image. It's not noticeable and it's optional. It's just a personal preference. I am now doing the washing technique, where you just gently glide the side of the pencil onto the paper. You can use as many colors as you wish for the background. I believe I have added yellow and some tinges of pink somewhere. Well, just to make it more interesting. You were probably wondering at the start, why does she need a picking tool? Well, if you notice the card that I made, it has actually white streaks on some areas of the card. And that is what I'm going to show you. Once the paper is completely dry, you can add a different touch or look to your card by doing little scratches on the paper. Since it's a strong 300 GSM paper, it is completely okay. Trust me. And it will give a nice rustic effect on your card. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and was able to grasp the three techniques that I personally use in watercoloring using watercolored pencils. If you have questions, feel free to message me anytime. Bye.